we're back here again, ready to multiply and divide rational expressions with R2-D2. So first, let's start off by remembering how we did multiplying and dividing back in elementary school with fractions. The first thing we have to remember is that when we multiply, all you have to do is multiply straight across the numerator and then straight across the denominator. So 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 8 is 32. Then all we did was to see if we could reduce that fraction. Well, I know for sure they could both divide by 2 pretty easily. So if I divide this by 2, I'm left with 3. And if I divide this by 2, I'm left with 16. So I have reduced this to be 3/16. So that's how we multiply. Now let's try it with a rational expression. So remember, when we're multiplying, we can see right here that we're multiplying. We're going to multiply straight across the numerator and straight across the denominator. Keep in mind, if we have a fraction with no denominator, there is always an implied 1 underneath any number that doesn't have a denominator. All right, so now we're ready to multiply. So I'm going to multiply straight across here, and that's x minus 5 times x minus 2. 1 times this is this. Keep in mind that we might need to factor this because it's going to help us to see if things can simplify later. So x squared factors to be x minus 5 times x plus 5 because this is the difference of perfect squares. Go back to one of the factoring videos if you can't remember how to do that kind of factoring. All right, so the last step is to simplify. What I'm looking for is factors that are in common that can cancel with each other. Because x minus 5 divided by x minus 5 is just 1. Therefore, I can cancel this, and x minus 2 over x plus 5 is my answer. Be careful of this temptation. Some students start to oversimplify and think that they can do x divided by x is 1 and cancel this as well. You cannot cancel terms. If it's separated by a plus or minus sign, you cannot cancel that. Don't forget that, R2. That's where students go wrong. So R2, remember, we can't cancel terms. We can only cancel factors. That's what you got to remember. All right, let's do one more example. All right, we're ready to divide fractions. So now we're going to go look at first our basic fractions and remember how we divided them. Remember that when we divide fractions, we always multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is when I just flip the fraction. So in order to divide, I'm going to keep this fraction the same, and I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Remember, when we multiply, we just multiply straight across. So 8 times 3 is 24, and 4 times 2 is 8. Then we simplify our fraction. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So now we're ready to try a rational expression. Notice I have a division problem here, so I am going to multiply by the reciprocal. Notice again, I don't really have a fraction here, but we can always add a 1 to the denominator because a 1 is always implied. So I'm going to write this. I want to go ahead and factor this expression because it's going to help me to see if anything's going to cancel. So x squared minus 36 is the same as x minus 6 times x plus 6. I'm going to change this to multiplication, and I'm going to take the reciprocal by flipping that fraction. That's right, R2. We've made big progress in that fraction. Now we are ready to multiply straight across. So 1 times all of this is just going to be x minus 6 times x plus 6. This is going to be x minus 2 times x minus 6. Last step, R2, is to look to see if anything is going to cancel. Do we have any common factors? Notice we have a x minus 6 in the numerator and we have an x minus 6 in the denominator. So since they are factors, we can cancel. And we are left with x plus 6 over x minus 2. R2, Are we allowed to cancel x's here? You're right, we are not allowed to because we don't cancel terms, we only cancel factors. R2, you're getting so smart. So we're gonna stop there, and that is it for multiplying and dividing rational expressions.